Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our second Adobe Q&A video podcast. I am Jukka Frans. I'm joined here today by Charlotte Bateson and Alexander Johansson. Alexander, Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Jukka. Thank you.
Could you briefly introduce yourselves to the people listening to us today?
Sure. Charlotte, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, of course. So it's nice to speak with you guys. So my name's Charlotte, and I am the pre-sales technical specialist at TD SYNNEX for Adobe. So it's a pleasure to be here today.
And I am Alexander Johansson. I work for TD SYNNEX in Sweden, and I am a Copilot Plus PC sales specialist.
Thank you. So, Charlotte, Alexander, what defines, according to you, the new era of creativity?
Well, for me, from an Adobe perspective, the new era of creativity is defined by its collaboration between sort of our human creativity and then generative artificial intelligence, Gen AI. Technology is really enhancing imagination rather than competing with it. I know for myself, it's definitely a day-to-day tool that is helping me. But creativity is no longer limited by physical tools, but it's to put it in a nice way, it's powered by light, code, and intelligent systems.
Okay, and how does Adobe view the relationship between humans and AI?
So Adobe sees AI as a partner and not a replacement, which is really important to reiterate here. Its generative AI tools are designed to elevate human creativity, enabling people to imagine, experiment, and create more efficiently whilst maintaining that human vision and control. I mean, Alex, yourself, how does Microsoft view sort of that relationship between human and AI?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it as well. Just finding sort of immersive experiences where we can look beyond ourselves and find new areas actually where we can't go as humans. So it's just that collaborative space is just something that we need to actually just keep moving forward and keep finding new areas of sort of goals that we couldn't reach before. So it's time allotted. That is the main thing about it. Just finding time and creating that creativity, which Charlotte spoke before, and finding all of these different levels of collaborations, whether it is Adobe or any other of the larger sort of software manufacturers.
Okay, thank you. And so we are hearing a lot prompt-based creativity, but what is meant with prompt-based creativity?
Yeah, so when it comes to Adobe and obviously human creativity, linking that to AI and technology, what we are seeing is that those non-creatives in the industry are needing to use a lot of prompt-based creativity to support them. What we mean by that is it refers to a new creative literacy where ideas are expressed through prompts. For an example, I want a photo of a dog at the beach playing with a tennis ball. A normal creative would use something like Photoshop or Illustrator to draw and design and really create that image. Whereas a non-creator could use their words to put that into a prompting system, and then the generative AI acts as a thought partner, helping creators translate that vision and emotion and storytelling into tangible outcomes faster than traditional workflows. And that's sort of why I think the collaboration that Microsoft has right now with their Copilot devices and NPU devices could really sort of explode the collaboration between hardware and software. and making faster outcomes. I don't know, Alex, what you're seeing in prompt-based creativity with these devices and these hardware systems that are being launched right now.
Yeah, the big part of it is for the longest time when we started seeing all these new developments, probably starting with ChatGPT and then moving into what Microsoft developed with Copilot, is from the beginning we really had to educate ourselves and learn about how to prompt, how to talk to the AI, because we're so used to, in our world of Google and Bing search, so we can just write one or two words and it most likely we'll find what we're actually looking for. That was not the case when we're talking about prompting and talking to an AI. We had to be uh, we had to use more of a full sentence and describing ourselves in a bigger way. So we still need to do that, still need to educate ourselves. But we also experience that the AI is getting closer and closer to the shorthand that we're used to, because in our world we don't want to sit around and wait for the commercials on YouTube, even though they're 5 seconds long. We don't have that patience anymore. Everything needs to go fast. We're looking at TikToks that are just a couple of seconds long. So everything needs to move faster. But with that said, all of this is moving in the right area, but we still have to educate ourselves. We still have to take our time to learn, because new things are developing every single day. So we need to stay on track and educate ourselves, not only with the application, but how to use them.
Okay, I heard the term generative AI. So how does generative AI improve the creative efficiency nowadays?
So I think it comes with what Alex was just saying there. That plays a huge part in the creative efficiency, shall we say. Um, but it's automating repetitive and time-intensive tasks. It's creating content faster, as Alex was saying, and it's allowing creatives and businesses, whether that's SMB or enterprise businesses, really focus on strategy, storytelling, and craft. Um, According to Adobe for Business, 82% of creatives already use generative AI. I already use generative AI, and it is improving efficiency. And I think having not just the software to be able to do that with generative AI, but having a hardware piece as well, like a Copilot device, can really, really improve efficiency, um, especially when it comes to generative AI among other AIs.
Okay, to now do a little bit of more of a deep dive in one of the Adobe products, right? So Adobe Firefly is a huge focus for Adobe. So how does Firefly play in the creative shifts?
So Adobe Firefly is actually enabling rapid idea iteration, experimentation, and then content generation. And it integrates very nicely with generative AI directly into those creative workflows, helping creators move from one concept to execution at unprecedented speed. So when we look at creative workflows and workflows in general, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex, I think that's where the Microsoft Copilot devices can collaborate really, really well to have hand-in-hand hardware and software at the touch of your fingertips.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is where we see the biggest change and the biggest drive with these new types of devices, actually. And it's not just we'll get into that a little bit more later on, but the big thing is that we've added an additional processor called an NPU that handles everything that is AI, but everything in this computer has gotten a boost, and that includes the CPU and especially the GPU, which handles everything that is graphics, so everything that is all of these awesome, cool functions from Adobe's sections. That is a lot of GPU handlement, and it has been boosted to be creative with all of this AI and work together with this NPU to get that balance and get that speed, which we are requesting nowadays.
Okay, and so what emotional and social changes are emerging with creative AI?
That's actually a really good question, and I think it fits really well with the technologies that are coming out when it comes to AI. So when we look at technology in general, whether it's hardware, whether it's software, um, we need to think of creatives' experiences as both excitement and uncertainty, whether it's pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard, for example. And while inspired by AI's potential, we're still learning when to trust automation versus like human intuition. So this shift is all about redefining collaboration and creative decision making. It's all about changing behavior, changing habits, and really coming together and working to, well, collaboration's that key word there again, coming together when we're looking at how this is going to affect emotional and social changes within the workplace. I think we can kind of say it in I was at an event previously where someone at Microsoft actually said about the different generations coming into the workplace. You've got Gen Z, Gen X, millennials. I don't really know too much about the difference of each one, but it is true that the younger generation coming into the workplace has a completely different emotional and social ability to way mindset to the way they work when it comes to AI. They're using it from a very young age now without even realizing it. Whereas the older generation, even myself, I still very much like pen to paper. I still have my notebook and my um, pen next to me. So it is, I think when it comes to AI's potential, there is a massive amount of potential. And it goes back to what Alex was saying previously of it's all about being educated, learning how to use these devices and how to use the software and how it can um, benefit your efficiency in the workplace.
And to add on to that, Charlotte, I mean, the key thing here is just to uh, try to dip your toes in it. As you say, some people have learned this from almost from their baby steps of adding into all this the new technology that's arriving on a daily basis. But uh, you don't have to use it to on every single thing that you do for your entire workday. But if you can find one, two, or three things that might save you 30 minutes, 60 minutes per day. And then we are back to what we were talking about earlier, just finding that time, whether it's time for yourself outside of work or being even more proactive during work.
And how can we ensure the responsible use of this generative AI?
Well, I mean, from Adobe perspective, Adobe designs its AI models with transparency, ethical guardrails, and then you have commercial safety included, especially if you look at Firefly um, and Adobe Express. A lot of the content is commercially safe content, which is great for businesses. But the responsibility and trust, this is all built into technology, ensuring that the AI supports creators without compromising integrity. Um, I mean, that from a software perspective, Adobe do really well at being responsible with their AI. I guess from a device, an on-device perspective, with the AI being on a device and affecting data governance and compliance, how does that look with Microsoft and Copilot?
Well, that part is when we're talking about AI from a Microsoft perspective, it might seem to the outside world that that is Microsoft's number one focus, but Microsoft's number one focus is security, and they have embedded all types of different, as you're talking about, just the transparency, all the ethical guardrails, every type of safety measures that can be handled. Microsoft has embedded that into their AI. So everything that you can do with Microsoft's AI, that is this, it has the same level of access and security that you as a user has. So he can't go outside of that. Anything the AI can find, you can also find. He's just probably better at it and faster at it. So all of this is already embedded, and security always comes first. So the responsibility of it, you can get a lot of it with all of these different AI products. Not all of them are there. You have to be a little cautious with a few of them, but from the big companies, we know that they have embedded it from the start. But this is also something that we're talking about, as well as educating yourself of how to use it. It's also a way to step into the light of educating yourself how to use this responsibly. And that is why it's so important for companies when they are embedding AI that they ensure that they have AI policies as well. So you know what you can and cannot do, so you can keep working without having this worry, whether it's you as an end user or if we're talking about the administrative and IT departments that have to deal with certain excursions of people who want to use it to a higher level.
Okay, Charlotte, Adobe's ecosystem, is it, and in which way is it important in the Gen AI era?
I think that's a great question to follow up from the security topic. Obviously being responsible and with transparency within Adobe. In terms of their ecosystem, Adobe has an extensive ecosystem, but it's integrating with generative AI tools across things like Firefly, Acrobat Studio, Express, Creative Cloud, even in its enterprise solutions, making creativity accessible, instant, and scalable across different users and needs for digital journeys. And I guess this might be me skipping ahead here, but it's sort of really interesting to sort of understand what Alex, your perspective is on the idea of new experiences that can become possible from only because AI is always on, because with software, the AI is on, with an AI device, the AI will be on as well. What do you think the new experiences coming from that could look like?
Well, the big thing I think is just as we've already covered with the creativity. It opens up a lot more of creativity, time. It's something I always go back to as well. But when we're looking at it from a bigger sort of like an ecosystem point from all of this, it's all about how can we use this, how can we scale this, how can we incorporate this into our lives. And I don't see AI as, if quote unquote always on, as an issue, because there is so much that AI can do in the background that we won't even notice, that improves our everyday lives and our everyday jobs. So as long as we do it with transparency, with security in mind, and we know that it's no malice behind everything, I see it as a plus side in pretty much everything that you can think of that can include AI. So I choose to see the positives in this. Uh, Obviously, there are potential for downsides, and we often go there in this day and age to the negative side. But there is way more on the plus side than there is on the negative side.
No, I agree with that. I think the only negative side would be that the AI always being on doesn't complete the workday for me. I still have to sit at the desk. Um,
Right, but that I mean, that is a good point of where I think Microsoft was very smart with what they're calling their own AI solutions, which is Copilot. And a co-pilot is the second in command, not the first. You, as the human, as the person, is always in command. They are just there to lend you a hand and guide you through it. So that is the big part of it. Don't let it take over, because it's always going to be, at best, anything you type into whatever sort of medium you use, whether it's ChatGPT, Copilot, or any other embedded services. It's not going to be 100%. It's never going to be 100%. So always double check what happens through what you ask of the AI. So we need to be there to guide it, but if we guide it correctly, we are looking at a positive future.
We talked about responsible use, emotional and social changes, but how what do we see for on-device AI when how does it affect data governance and compliance? Because nowadays I think it's one of the most important topics out there, right? Like data governance, compliancy, the new regulation. So how does an on-device AI affect these certain topics?
Well, what we see is the effect of it. If we start with just the governance and compliance part of it, we we still have the same capacity and ability, whether it's on device or in the cloud, because they still govern towards the same laws. It's just sort of how we access it and how we save it. So as long as we have a linear scale of how do we use our AI policy and how do we use our data, whether it is AI or not, we still need to stay within the same guidelines. So it doesn't really affect it more than where does it go? Where are we accessing it from, or where do we save it or download it? So the possibility of the on device is more of a uh, downgrade or sort of an upgrade in latency. We get it quicker, we get it faster, but we can also control it as an end user, which we can't do when we do cloud-based AI. Because even though we might get it, if we get it from the big companies, if we're using Amazon Web Services or Microsoft, we know where they're going. We know which data center we can allocate it to. But in smaller of settings, if you go to ChatGPT, which is an open AI, we have no idea where that data goes. There's nobody who can actually sync it or link it to anything tangible. So the on device just puts us in more control. And that is probably the big part of it if we're talking just governance and compliance. But the compliance is pretty much the same because that is set from the beginning, especially here in Europe with we have some strict EU laws with what we can and cannot do.
Yeah, so I heard the term on-device AI, I heard the term cloud AI. So what problems does on-device AI solve that, for example, cloud AI alone won't be able to?
Well, the big thing is that we get more control over it, but the speed of it is another thing as well, and we add on as well to this a different type of security as well. So, for example, if you usually have if when you have these big sort of um, security software, think about McAfee or Norton Antivirus or all any of these usual ones that are the big standard that we use. If you're going to do a big search, or if something has happened to your computer, you've gotten some sort of virus or malware that has gotten into it, that one, a big search through has to use the cloud because that is where the big data is, where they get anything that can search through, where it recognizes, where all the intelligence is stored. But with these new devices where we have the NPU, we have a boosted GPU, that can work all of these stuff online, offline. So we don't have to be online. And a great example of that is, for example, if you get a mail, you open it in Outlook, there's an attached file, but you don't open it right there. You open it later when you are offline. So you don't have that access to all that cloud intelligence. If that attached file has some sort of malware in it, the computer in itself is strong enough to handle that with AI boost and security boosts to make sure that this file is not secure to open. So you don't have to have that cloud connection. So it boosts pretty much everything you do. And we have a more balanced computer because everything knows which processor to use. So it boosts pretty much everything you can use. Everything's faster and everything's more you know exactly where everything is.
Yeah, so that brings me actually to my last question. Like, could Copilot plus PCs run fully offline AI agents in the future?
That's a great question. And I would say yes, if the future is here today, because we have that capacity and that ability already today. So Microsoft with these Copilot Plus PCs, and they work together with Dell, Lenovo, HP, Acer, Asus, even Fujitsu. They make these Copilot Plus PCs, and what they have is embedded Copilot, and that is the Copilot Plus PC name. We had embedded AI functionality in it, which will be and are to an extent today AI agents, but there are a lot of other features and functions that are on the Windows directly. So you just have to buy the laptop, and then these functionalities are included into everything. And they can run fully offline just by using the NPU and the GPU that is on the computer.
And I think that is a perfect wrap up of our Q&A, right? Going offline. So, Alexander, Charlotte, thank you very much for your time today. And yeah, we talk to each other soon.
Yes, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
very much. It was nice speaking. Thank you.